You know, no one really prepares you for the quiet that comes with living alone in your later years. One minute, life's loud. Kids, work, dinner clatter, laundry buzzing. Then suddenly, it's just you. And maybe the occasional creak of the fridge saying hello. But here's the beautiful twist most people don't see coming. Living alone isn't the end of the story. It's the start of a different kind of freedom, a quieter, deeper kind. One where you get to choose what fills the silence. In this video, I'm sharing 10 daily habits that can turn the stillness into something joyful, soulful, and even fun. And I'm not talking about cliché advice like drink more water or go for a walk. You've heard that 47 times already. These are real heartfelt habits that have helped older folks not just survive alone, but actually thrive. So grab a warm drink, maybe your favorite old chair, and let's talk. From one friend to another. Number 1. Start your morning with chair gratitude. Yes, that's a thing. Now let me tell you how this started for me. There's this old chair in my living room, one of those chairs that creaks like it's got secrets. It's not fancy, just a worn recliner I've had since the early 90s, with a faded patch where the dog used to nap. For the longest time, it just sat there, a piece of furniture collecting daylight. But one morning, after a long night of tossing and turning over memories that came creeping in, I shuffled out of bed and just dropped myself into that chair. The house was still and quiet, too quiet, honestly. I had that ache in my chest, the one that whispers, "It's just you now." And for some reason, I looked out the window and noticed how the light hit the trees. Just a golden splash across the leaves. It felt gentle. So I took a breath and thought, well, I'm glad I'm here to see that. That was the first time I practiced what I now call chair gratitude. These days, I do it every morning. I sit in that same chair, coffee in hand, feet up, the dog now gone, but still strangely around. And I think of 3 very specific things I'm grateful for that day. Not the big, vague stuff like family or health or sunshine. No. I go small and real, like my socks actually match today, and that's a miracle. The tap didn't drip all night. There's a leftover slice of banana bread calling my name. Some days, it's harder than others. On rough mornings, I might just say, well, I'm grateful I woke up and didn't spill the coffee on my pants. And you know what? That still counts. The point is, it grounds me. It shifts the focus. From absence to presence, from loss to life. And slowly, over time, that old creaky chair became my quiet little sanctuary. A place to start fresh, a place that reminds me, hey, you've still got something to smile about. So get yourself a chair of gratitude, my friend. Doesn't have to be fancy, just yours. 2. Keep a one thing a day challenge list. Now, when you live alone, you quickly learn something they don't mention in the brochures. The days can start to blur together. One minute it's Monday, and the next thing you know it's Friday, and you're still in the same sweatpants, wondering if that Tupperware in the fridge is soup or a science experiment. That's why I started my one thing a day habit. It happened after a particularly long week where I couldn't remember what I'd done with my time. I felt like the whole week just evaporated, and I hadn't done anything. That feeling, it chips away at you. So I said, all right, from now on, just one thing, one productive, meaningful thing every single day. I started small. One day I organized my spice rack. It took me half the afternoon, but now I know where the paprika lives, and it makes me feel oddly powerful. The next day, I wrote an old friend a letter. Not an email, a real letter, pen, envelope, stamp and all. I even doodled a little chicken in the corner because she used to raise hens. She called me a week later laughing, saying it made her cry and laugh at the same time. That one thing made both our days. Some days the thing is just sweeping the porch or trying a new YouTube yoga video where the instructor bends like a rubber band and I just kind of attempt to survive. But you know what? It counts. The magic of this habit isn't in the task itself, it's in the sense of purpose it gives you. It creates a rhythm. It tells your brain, hey, we're still showing up for life. We're not just existing here, we're living. You don't need a planner. I just keep a little notepad on the counter and jot down my one thing each evening. It's my proof that I moved the needle that day, even just a little. And let me tell you, that tiny feeling of accomplishment, it stacks up. It changes how you look at your own life. 3. Eat at the table with ceremony. Now, this one might sound silly, but it's one of the most surprisingly powerful things I've ever done. When my wife passed, I stopped eating at the table. I started eating on the couch, with the TV mumbling in the background and the food straight out of the pot. I told myself it didn't matter, nobody to impress, right? But after a while, meals stopped feeling like meals. They were just fuel stops, mindless and mechanical. The joy was gone. Then one night, after watching an old cooking show rerun, I decided to try something. I turned off the TV, set the table, fork on the napkin, poured myself a glass of juice in a wine glass, just to be fancy, put on a little old-school jazz. I even lit a candle that had been collecting dust since 2005. And you know what? That meatloaf tasted amazing. It wasn't the food that changed, it was the atmosphere. I slowed down. I chewed with intention. I felt human again. Now I eat dinner like I'm dating myself. I played it nicely. I sometimes talk out loud. That's a fine-looking chicken breast, if I do say so myself. And you better believe I light that candle. Because why not? It's not about being formal. It's about reminding yourself that you still matter, that you're worth the ceremony, that meals aren't just about eating, they're about honoring the day. So go ahead, dig out those dishes you've been saving for guests. You are the guest now, the VIP, and your table deserves your presence. 4. Join an online good morning group, or start one. Now I'll be honest. When I first stumbled onto a good morning thread on a page for older adults, I thought, what kind of hokey nonsense is this? Just a bunch of people typing good morning like they're chirping birds in a digital aviary. But I kept reading. There was a guy named Tony from Michigan who posted a photo of his snowy backyard every morning. A woman from Scotland who always started her message with "Hello, lovelies," and talked about her dog's breakfast like it was fine dining. And another fellow who shared his dad joke of the day without fail, most of which were so terrible, they were brilliant. And slowly, I got it. It wasn't just about saying good morning. It was about being witnessed, about knowing someone, somewhere, saw your name, your words, your little corner of the day, and nodded in quiet recognition. So I tried it. I created a little morning ritual of my own. I'd sit at the kitchen table, still in my robe, hair looking like I'd wrestled a porcupine in my sleep, and I'd type out, "Good morning, friends. Toast is extra toasty today. Cat is judging me. Life rolls on." That's it. But over time, people started responding. "Sounds like your cat and mine would get along." "Extra toasty? You rebel." And suddenly, I wasn't just living alone. I was living among. These threads became my digital front porch. No pressure, no politics, just people checking in. Real, raw, funny, mundane, and absolutely life-giving. And if you can't find a group that suits you, start your own, even if it's just 2 of you to begin with. That little daily exchange might be the soft nudge someone needs to get out of bed and start the coffee. And if you're really feeling brave, sign your post with something like, "Your favorite toast burner, George." Give him something to smile about. 5. Play background soundscapes that feel like company. Now here's something nobody tells you about living alone. Silence can be a strange thing. Sometimes it's peaceful. Other times it's heavy, like the house is holding its breath. I used to have the TV on constantly, not because I was watching it, but because the silence felt like an elephant sitting in the room. But the TV eventually started to wear me down. The news, the shouting, the chaos. It was like inviting drama into your living room every day at 6 p.m. Then one day, I stumbled across a YouTube video titled Coffee Shop Ambience 3 Hours. I clicked it, and suddenly my kitchen sounded like a cozy little cafe. Soft jazz in the background, cups clinking, a low hum of people chatting just out of earshot. And oh my goodness, it was perfect. I made my tea, sat at the table with my book, and I swear to you, I felt like I was somewhere. Not just in my house, but inside a moment. Now I've got a whole rotation. Rain on a tin roof, fireplace crackles, the sound of waves and seagulls like I'm at a beach house instead of a 2-bedroom in the suburbs. I even found a medieval tavern sounds track, complete with lute music and distant clinking mugs. I don't know why it works, but sipping soup while pretending I'm in a castle? 10 out of 10 recommend. These soundscapes aren't just noise, they're mood companions. They trick your brain into feeling less alone, more connected, even if it's just to the rustle of leaves or the soft creak of imaginary floorboards. It's like wrapping your mind in a warm blanket. And the best part? No small talk required. 6. Start a curiosity hunt. One new thing a day you didn't know yesterday. This isn't your average trivia time. This is about keeping your brain wide open, even while your world might feel quiet or same old. Here's how it works. Every day you ask yourself one curious question, then go hunt for the answer. It can be as deep or as silly as you want. What matters is that it's new. It lights a little spark. One day I asked, why do cats need blankets like they're baking bread? And I went down a delightful rabbit hole that somehow ended with ancient Egyptian cat worship. Another day. Who invented the ice cream scoop? Turns out it was a black inventor named Alfred L. Kroll in 1897. Made me feel like I should honor his legacy with 2 scoops that night. Then one time I just wondered, how do baby flamingos turn pink? Spoiler, it's the shrimp diet. Which made me think, if I eat enough strawberries, can I turn pink too? Haven't tested that one yet. Here's the real beauty of the curiosity hunt. When you live alone, stimulation has to come from the inside out. You're not surrounded by the daily noise of kids, co-workers, or a partner asking, "Did you hear about?" So you become the source. You set the spark. You light up your own day with one strange, delightful, unexpected little gem of knowledge. Write it down in a notebook. Call it your "I didn't know that" journal. Or text it to a family member or a friend. Just imagine your nephew getting a message that says, "Did you know octopuses have 3 hearts? I only need 1 to love you. Uncle Joe." Trust me, this kind of curiosity keeps the brain sharp, the spirit awake, and the days interesting, and you'll never run out of things to learn. Ever. So tomorrow, ask yourself, what don't I know? That I'd like to? Then go get it. 7. Invent a silly ritual just for you. Alright, now we're getting into the good stuff. If you've watched this far, you deserve to hear about the weirdest, most wonderful habit I've ever adopted. It started after I read about a woman in her 70s who had tea and tree time every afternoon at 3 p.m. She'd pour a cup of tea, sit by her favorite window, and just stare at the tree outside, rain or shine. For 10 minutes, she said, that tree became her friend, her therapist, her meditation app. Something about that really stuck with me. So I made up my own ritual. Toaster talks. Every morning, while my bread does its thing, I talk to my toaster like we're old pals. "All right, Gerald, let's not burn it this time, okay? We've got a big day ahead. You do your job, I'll do mine." Some days I give Gerald pep talks. Some days I complain to him about my back. And once, I thanked him for his years of faithful service and promised not to replace him, even though one side toasts unevenly. Now, does it sound ridiculous? Absolutely. But here's the secret. Rituals don't have to be serious to be sacred. They're simply moments of intention, wrapped in a little bit of silliness and soul. A handshake between you and the day. A signal to your brain that you're here, you're alive, and you're showing up. You could sing to your houseplants. Tell your coffee mug your dreams. Salute the mirror and say, "You've still got it, kid." Whatever it is, make it yours. Make it yours alone. Because when you invent something just for you, you're not just filling time. You're creating a thread of joy that ties one day to the next, and over time, that thread becomes a lifeline. 8. Create a remembering corner in your home. I remember walking into my friend Lillian's house after her husband passed. The place was tidy, quiet. You could tell it still carried the rhythm of two people, even though one was now missing. But what stood out to me wasn't the stillness. It was this little corner shelf by the hallway. Nothing grand, just a framed photo, an old watch, a pair of reading glasses, and a tiny ceramic frog that I later learned had once lived in her husband's sock drawer, just to annoy him. I asked her about it and she said, "That's my remembering corner. I sit there every morning with my coffee. Say hello, maybe cry, maybe laugh, then I get on with my day." That hit me. You see, a lot of people think remembering is something painful, something to avoid. But I've come to realize that when you live alone, remembering is how we stay rooted, how we carry love forward, instead of pretending it disappeared. I made my own little corner not long after. It's on a shelf near my bedroom window. There's a picture of my wife from our first beach trip, still smirking like she's about to call me a dork. There's her favorite brooch. One of her recipe cards, stained and smudged with use. And a silly little rock we picked up on a road trip. We swore it looked like Abraham Lincoln if you tilted it just right. Some mornings I light a candle there. Some days I just nod at it and say, "All right, you'd be proud. I didn't burn the pancakes today." It's not about being sad. It's about staying close to the things that shaped you. You don't need a shrine. You just need a space. A little spot that says, "Love lived here, and still does." Because remembering isn't holding on too tight. It's holding on just enough to keep walking forward without forgetting where your steps began. 9. Do a mini Bragg journal before bed. Now let me tell you something that sounds small, but packs a punch. The Bragg journal. I used to end my nights with a sigh and a grumble. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, wondering, did I do anything worth remembering today? Or was it just coffee, emails I didn't answer, and half a crossword puzzle? It wasn't doing me any favors. That kind of thinking invites the blues in through the back door. Then I came across this idea from a retired teacher online. She said, "Every night before bed, I write down one thing I did well, even if it's just didn't lose my cool when the printer jammed. It helps me end the day with dignity." That stuck with me. So I got a little notebook, nothing fancy, just the kind you'd buy at the drugstore, and titled it in bold letters. "Today, I nailed it." And every night, I write down one thing I'm proud of, no matter how silly, small, or seemingly trivial. One entry reads, "Figured out how to change the batteries in the smoke detector without falling off the chair." Another says, "Resisted the urge to eat 3 donuts and settled for 1.5. Progress." Sometimes it's serious. Called my daughter even though I didn't feel like talking. Sometimes it's pure nonsense. Invented a new dance move while cleaning the kitchen. Nailed it. 0 witnesses. Full glory. But the thing is, it matters. Because when you live alone, you don't always get feedback. There's no one there to say, "Hey, you did good today." So you've got to be that person for yourself. The Bragg journal isn't about ego. It's about honoring your effort. It's about ending the day not with a shrug, but with a little nod to your own resilience. So yeah, go ahead, brag a little. You've earned it. 10. Laugh, loud and often, even at your own jokes. Now here's something I'll preach until the day I croak. Laughter is sacred. It's medicine, yes. but it's also connection. And when you're living alone, it can be easy to think there's nothing funny left. But I'm here to tell you, there's always something. Like last week, I walked into the kitchen to make coffee, opened the fridge, and found my glasses sitting on top of the butter. I have no memory of how they got there. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. Then I told the fridge, "Well, I guess you're farsighted now." Here's the thing. Nobody else was there. No one to high-five or chuckle along with. But I laughed anyway, out loud, unapologetically. And that moment, it lifted my whole morning. One fellow on a senior forum said he watches old sitcoms religiously, not just because they're funny, but because they remind him of who he was when he first laughed at them. There's something healing in that. Another woman started writing one corny joke a day and texting it to her grandkids. She said, "I don't care if they groan. That groan means they read it. That means we're connected." I love that. Laugh at squirrels slipping off fences. Laugh at your own clumsiness. Laugh when the toast pops up like it's trying to scare you. Just don't let the world convince you laughter belongs only to the young or the accompanied. You've got a front row seat to life's absurdity. Don't waste it. And if no one else is there to hear it, even better, you can cackle like a lunatic and nobody will judge you. Freedom, baby. So here's the truth, my friend. Living alone doesn't have to feel lonely. It can be your most intentional season yet. Whether it's doing your chair gratitude every morning, inventing a goofy personal ritual, or yelling "good morning" to a group of people online you've never met, each little habit is a small act of joyful rebellion against the idea that life slows down with age. These daily practices aren't just routines. They're reminders that your presence still matters, your story is still unfolding, and your laughter is still medicine. Now I've got to ask you, what's your weird little daily habit that keeps you grounded, smiling, or sane? I'd love to hear it down in the comments. Share it. You might just inspire someone else watching. And hey, if this video gave you even one idea that made you think, "Yeah, I could do that," then go ahead and tap that like button. And if you want more videos like this, real talk, simple truths, and a few laughs along the way, go ahead and subscribe. This channel's just getting warmed up, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Until next time, take care of yourself. And don't forget to laugh at your own jokes. Somebody has to.